I'm looking at the box diagram here.
Yeah, let's look at this for a moment.
Yeah.
So, the three smiley faces at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
researchers, citizens, science, general public. This is good. This is some basic participant roles,
Mm-hmm.
certainly in terms of data input, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, or is that's data users?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Maybe it's both. People who both input data and people who use data, right?
Yeah.
And he's assuming an upload page, an index page, and analysis page. Not sure about that exactly. I'd have to see that fleshed out. Uh, and then analytics repository. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I'm not sure exactly what that would be, but there needs to be some place where the analytical data is stored. Um, then the hot data. I think, as we talked about before, the hot data versus the
Probably journey.
yep, yeah. I think this is good. So the hot data cache, this stuff is definitely going to the directly to the web to be accessed, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not sure what the metadata index is. I'm assume yes, if he was here, he could tell us, but I assume um, what are you doing? Big what?
I think that's the database slash like table, basically. The index.
I think so, right?
I think it is, yes. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would
Yeah.
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the verification daemon is a process in there that filters and tries to verify data, assuming that this is going to be automated. But maybe there is an interaction stage there we need, right?
It's a good question. In Safecast currently the verification is done manually, and I assume
Both.
it's to.
We have an AI, and we have there's a moderation queue, and if basic parameters are within certain, again, parameters of data previously from the same location
Mhm.
and not exceeding certain level, then it can be automatically approved.
Right.
But then if it's beyond that, outside data from a new place, it has to be approved by a person.
Yeah, makes sense. So it means that the verification daemon would be the automated part, but we
It
must also have
looks
like
like
the.
he's assuming that there is an automated QC, automated verification process. But again, maybe this is not totally realistic, right? Maybe we do need to have people, a team, looking at the data, vetting the data, deciding if it goes in or not. So this looks like it's like everything anyone sends goes in, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So, so this is to build on though. This is a very good basic structure.
yeah.
And then cloud, he made a nice cloud picture, torrent storage, government agencies, academic hosts. Um, yeah, and there's not much connection there, right?
Mhm.
Right? So I'm not sure, how that goes, but I think that is reasonable that we, two big repositories will be governmental, um, and academic, and
We also have NGOs, right? There's a bunch of NGOs that also have big database. So we just,
sure, NGO hosts. Why not? Why not?
Safecast is an example of that.
Yes, yes. And then torrent storage. Now, this is not clear how those relate,
Mhm.
but you know, yeah, this is just it's pretty quick and dirty, right? What he did, but yes, the idea is that somehow. Oh, does this suggest that he's saying we have redundancy? That we have torrent storage, but also our data goes to NGOs and businesses and
No,
academia and
no, no, no,
science?
not at all. No.
Hey, Rob.
Hi. No,
What does it
it's not like
suggest?
that.
What do you see here, Rob, about that aspect?
It's basically only local storage. There's no replication. There's no backup system. But first, this has to run, and then later we work on the other part, I think.
Right. But anyway, what we're looking at, I think you saw this earlier, right?
Hmm.
From Josh, and we're just sort of editing.
Hold a second. Do you know if Josh gonna attend? Because maybe he can explain himself
We
much
hope he
better than
would,
I can do.
but he's not here yet.
I
So,
see.
hey, Kazu, are you joining? And but he put these all in the cloud, you see, in this diagram.
I think he didn't put it on the cloud. I think he pulls it from the cloud.
But what I
This is
mean,
only pulling in,
this is pulling in. Okay,
pulling in.
good, good.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
that he was
Except,
thinking
except
about
that the
just harvesting it from there.
yeah, except that the torrent storage implies that this is data from the project going into the torrent, right?
Yes, but it's not exactly sure how that works.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see that.
Right.
That,
Right. This is not quite, of course, like I said, we said he did a great job of great basic, layout, but it's not clear about some of the data flows.
Now, for me, it's most important is that to build the base structure basically, and
Yeah.
then think about the storage. I think that's fine. I mean, it's a very good diagram, at least for
Right.
me.
Right.
And
Right. I
I
thought
don't
so
know
too.
if you see the chat I had with ChatGPT about this, because ChatGPT explained me how this works and how to build it.
Okay, I didn't see that,
Hmm.
but fine.
The
I
chat you had
mean,
was, is it this
basic.
one? Because I don't, does it
I
need to have an
think
account?
you should have access.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
there
cool.
you go.
Okay.
Exactly how to build it.
And what about what the verification daemon? What do you
I'm not
think is
sure that's
there?
that it's a very important part. It's basically an automatically verification system. I'm
Yeah,
not sure how he is going to implement that,
right, right, right.
but
That was we were wondering as well. So,
I think it's very important. It's maybe the most important part.
right, right. But so it's a basic good structure, right? It's a very
Yeah,
a good starting point, right?
yeah, and it's
Do we all agree?
the good thing about it, I think, is that it's using only the metadata, and I really like that idea.
But
That is
can you
very scalable.
can you explain that?
So basically, it only takes the difference in data, not the whole data. He has a point where one time the data gets stored, and then he checks the differences. So you only store the differences, like they do on Google Drive.
Oh, that's what he was saying. Yeah.
Yes,
But
the
is that the
metadata
metadata?
is
The metadata here is the differences?
the differences basically.
Okay. Okay.
So
Um,
what we're comparing this with Jody is that, for example, like for books or this is not a good example, but we can go onto, for example, LibGen, and you can download lots of PDFs, and what would be this one?
Just like
mhm.
just do like a tomato, just for any book.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so if I want to, basically this is also just metadata. This is not hosting any of the file. These are all torrents.
Right.
And
Right.
these are the information you have, like an ID
Check
and
into the title.
okay, so genetic improvement of tomato, and these are the fields basically that will be in the database. The title, the author, the years,
Yeah.
and then you can click on it and you can get the file. I already got the file downloaded. It was here.
Oh, this
No.
is okay, but this means assuming the external link it will be valid and live, right?
Yes, but that's where that's what he said, that some part need to be cached and that part
Well, so
we
I'm
store.
assuming that what we need to do is actually store the actual data. It makes no sense to do this without actually storing the actual data. So what's that part?
But I think, being honest, it's very hard to store all the data. We
It's
don't know
very
how big it
hard,
is.
but this is, we can say this is an index. We can say we will index the data. That's fine, but that's not the same as preserving the data. So that's
No,
my point.
that's it. But the data should be on, or in the torrents. That's what he's, at
Could be,
least that's
but
what I think what he does.
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
So he keeps the
good.
data in the torrents and then make an index, and we keep the index. So that's basically, that's why it's on
Okay,
the cloud.
that could work, right? That should work.
Yeah, that should work.
Yeah.
And what
I agree with that. That
and the
should work.
hashes are also here, so very similar to us. And these are all the hashes. So this is very similar to our like certifying that the data. If you want to check the data is not corrupted, you try any of those.
Yeah.
Encryption.
Mm-hmm.
But the good thing of this is very light and very doable and
Yeah.
scalable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing is you have to keep the torrent updated.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm not sure how he's going to do that. Or
He
what kind of plan he has for that.
He
Right.
shared with us also this really cool website where I guess they also just have a directory, but they have a very good way of so for example it was the so they had a really nice engine to
Mhm.
show the data set.
Mm-hmm.
I think and each of the data set they yes you could click basically on the different projects and you could and so
Yeah, that's nice.
yeah they have a really nice interface. Ah, okay. And so I forgot, but there was a way that you could basically see all the you could see all the different types of data. Okay, here you go. Harmonized data. Okay, so these are the database of all the carbon projects, and you can
Mhm.
click on any of them, and it's I think it shows super nicely. So he used this example saying like this is the kind of index.
Yeah.
But it's rendered very nicely and then if you want to have more information you go on the original so if each of them you have a timeline so it's
Yeah.
and that was
Something like that. That
That's
we were
nice.
thinking of.
Stunning.
it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Nice carbon plan.
Carbon plan, yeah. So the index, I think this works really well. And Rob, you mentioned that the doc database, because this also loads super fast, right? Like the way it loads is so amazing and so
Yeah, that should be fine. I mean,
Yeah.
the DuckDB, it should even be faster. And it's about 100 times faster than Postgres.
Postgres. Wow.
And it runs in memory, so it doesn't need files. It's only 50 megabyte.
Yeah, so the smaller the database and the faster people can navigate it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that would be a bit slower to render is that if you have any media, like images, for example, like a preview
Yes.
image, then it would immediately just explode. But it could be on a different server. It could be a bit slower and just like render, I suppose.
Or you can cache them out. That's but,
Right. I can post this into the chat so if you want to have a look and like navigate around, it's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay, so coming back to
Yeah, great.
to where were we? We were on the okay. Yes, sorry. So this is a good progress. What else should we look at?
Well, shall we look at our texts?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall I share?
How can I get out of this? Oops. Okay, you wanna
close it.
yeah, you wanna
You can close it. They
Okay.
close in the bottom somewhere.
yes,
But
Yeah.
then you're gonna save it maybe.
Okay, so you see, okay. So what we ended up doing, and this is just building on a little more time from yesterday. So
Forgot, I put it on the mural. You can see, enjoy it in the mural board.
it's on. Did you put it all on the mirror already?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Then let me unshare, and then we go to the Miro. Where's the Miro? Oh, I see. You did that.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Um,
Yep.
so let me go share that, okay?
Oh.
And I don't really know exactly. I haven't navigated this yet, but So,
Starting from premise, right?
well, maybe you need to explain some of this.
Do you want to
Oh.
control and then
Oh.
Um,
You can
okay.
do
So
all
what
of
I would say, and Jody, you took this text, part of that text from the leftmost column, the combined column. Right. So this is again, so what seems to be working out is one kind of text, like we said yesterday, that is a bit of a manifesto. You know, we believe, we endeavor, we encourage, and then Tim put in he did a lot of thought in this and put in much more programmatic, and it was interesting because Jody and I both were sort of thinking more manifesto value oriented, and then Kazu and Tim were both thinking more programmatic. And I think both of those texts can be fleshed out, is my personal feeling now. So I asked Tim, but of course, Kazu, Tim's not joining us. His father-in-law died. And so he's taking care of his wife and his mother-in-law. So he can't present, but I had encouraged him, suggested that he integrate as many of your points as possible into his outline. So maybe that hasn't happened yet. Maybe we can do that. But so yeah, manifesto, we begin with a premise. Uh, and I won't read the whole thing. Maybe I could, but yeah, this is our Earth. We are inhabitants and guardians of the planet for current and future generations. This is Jody's text, right? As the world faces accelerating challenges from climate change, environmental degradation, and geopolitical tensions, this part is Tim's text, right? It is imperative to empower individuals and communities with tools to monitor and safeguard their environment. By enabling citizens to gather, share, and act on open environmental data, we can build collective resilience and foster a globally informed public capable of driving constructive solutions. Great text from Tim and Jody. Mission statement: how might we collect, verify, host, and share climate and other environmental data in a scalable and sustainable way? What are the technical, social, and communication-oriented requirements for achieving this on a long-term global scale? And then this is basically from Tim. Our mission is to empower individuals and communities globally by providing open tools and platforms to collect, share, and utilize environmental data, fostering resilience and collaboration in addressing the challenges of climate change and environmental crises. So that's the mission statement. Introduction challenge, the same as yesterday. We live in a time of excruciating paradox. Technically, we're able. Should I read this all, or you want to read it yourselves?
Enjoying it.
Keep reading.
Yeah.
Technically, we're able to collect, process, store, and share vastly more data concerning climate and the environment than previous generations ever thought possible, potentially making us all better informed than ever. But powerful political and economic forces increasingly find that concealing, destroying, or misrepresenting this data to the public better serves their purposes. This is the disappearing data phenomenon we have increasingly witnessed in recent years. This data is crucial for understanding past and present environmental trends and their effects, and for planning actions to safeguard future generations. Current policies and systems intended to protect this important data and ensure that it remains openly available to citizens, researchers, and policymakers appear inadequate compared to the risks and potential consequences. It is increasingly plausible that vast quantities of environmental data will be lost in coming years due to political and short-sighted, financially motivated action, hobbling future environmental efforts. Our challenge is to prevent this from happening. Then proposed solution. We propose to establish a robust, extensible, and openly accessible ecosystem of global community, including deployment toolkits and a platform of visualization and analysis. We envision a data architecture that will simplify the collection, verification, storage, and sharing of climate and environmental data sets. We propose to build a platform that allows for upload, translation, verification, incentivization, viewing, modification, and archival environmental data sets. So this is all of us from all of us in here. We further propose to begin building a community around this data, collectively responsible for its collection and long-term maintenance. This includes support, education, and activation, along with relevant physical and digital tools and knowledge-sharing methodologies. These efforts will draw on SafeCast-along experience in growing and motivating a global network of citizen science volunteers. These efforts will further be bolstered by the contribution of experts, advisors, and scientific, technical, organizational, and other relevant fields. The project will firmly protect its independence, but will remain open to cooperation with governing bodies and organizations that agree with our stated principles. Then value statements. We believe in the importance of data. We believe that data is power and data tells our vital stories. We believe that humans have the right to access, I forgot the two, to data about the environment that is up to date, trustworthy, and accurate, and the right to participate in decision making about any proposed actions that could potentially affect the environment they live in. We believe in the right to be collectively responsible. We believe that empowering individuals to collect and safeguard this data is the best way to ensure that the actions of government and industry are environmentally just and equitable. We believe in openness and inclusion. Our project will be stronger for the diversity of its participants and the combined breadth of their knowledge and experience. We believe that well-designed open systems can foster beneficial collective activity by geographically separated individuals who are teammates but may remain strangers to each other, that even tiny individual efforts become gigantic in aggregate. We believe we can accomplish this if we are audacious enough. Call to action. Thanks, Jody. We encourage everyone to become good ancestors. Oh, wait, was there another one before that? Oh, we endeavor. We endeavor to begin safeguarding the Earth's story one dataset at a time. We endeavor to ensure that climate data is open, verified, useful, scalable, sustainable, and safe. We endeavor to establish the data collection, processing, and visualization systems necessary to do this and to make them openly available in a non-ideological and nonpartisan way. We endeavor to empower citizens with the ability to read, write, evaluate climate data in order to form informed opinions and decisions. We endeavor to build a global community of data guardians capable of passing down their values, knowledge, and experiences to future generations. We endeavor to help bring about a future of climate opportunity, benefit, and transformation rather than crisis, with the restoration of ecosystems and biodiversity a primary priority.
Asli, one question. How did you determine safe? That the data is safe? We don't know.
Let me finish reading it and then we can.
Oh, okay.
We have a
Okay.
little more. Call to action. We encourage everyone to become good ancestors whose present actions are guided by the recognition that unselfish actions must be taken today in order to safeguard the lives of future generations. We encourage everyone to become informed about the environment, to develop data literacy, and to continue to ask the questions, how do we know? There was a bit about here about the why part from you, Jody, but I don't know where that went. We encourage people to participate. There are numerous potential roles as a volunteer data collector, as an educator or communicator, as an engineer, as a designer, as a validator, logistical guide, or area expert, to name a few. Most roles will be local and small in scale, and like Safecast from its initiation, the focus will be on creating a system which enables active participation globally without the need for centralized direction or coordination. More than anything, we encourage everyone to continue caring. Humans have clear weaknesses in relation to long-term thinking, and it's all too easy to feel overwhelmed and helpless in the face of horrific global developments, but we will never surrender our love for humanity and for the planet that motivates us now. Incentive we offer. We offer participation. This is an opportunity to join with others in an important endeavor that can potentially make a huge difference in coming years. We offer learning. Participants will learn new skills, become part of new communities, and gain a new understanding of the environment and how data is collected and used. They will gain a newly informed voice. We offer appreciation. This new community will prioritize acknowledging the efforts of individuals and their contributions. We offer gratification and belonging. This is an opportunity to do something meaningful that will make a huge difference and to join with like-minded people everywhere as part of a long-term effort. We offer material incentives. As the project becomes financially self-sustaining, we promise to implement the exchange of material value, either tokens, money, or other incentives for data contributions and other participation. Most of all, though, we offer data, beautiful, glorious data we can all revel in and ensures put to good use. So this is the manifesto kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Rob,
I'm not sure about the glorious data.
data is glorious. Rob, data is beautiful.
Data is just another form of thoughts.
But it's glorious.
Fine.
I don't know.
But Rob,
Glorious, I think, is a little bit dangerous word.
Rob, go. Why? Data is glorious.
It's a little bit over. It's a little bit, let's say, Americanized.
Victorious.
It's cool and juicy data.
And now we offer data, and we can
Sorry.
all revel in ensuring it. That's really fine. I mean, beautiful, glorious data. I mean, I've heard it from
So,
other
Rob, if you
people
want to go
before.
through later, if you want to go through and suggest edits, you can do that. And
Yeah,
no problem
we
with that.
offer data.
Back to your question about what is safe. You know, that is, of course, a question. And so maybe
Very,
that
very
needs to
great.
be fleshed out. But I think maybe we can go then look at Tim's contribution. Jody, is that also in here?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
here's on the right-hand side, right?
No. Go back
No,
to
that's your ChatGPT.
the ChatGPT. Ignore that. Go back to the
So should I just read Tim's, or you put this all in the forms of Post-its? Is that what you did?
Yeah.
No. Yes-ish. I mean, I only put the last bit because he had the last row where he mentioned about. Let's see. He had talked about
Jody,
yeah.
Jody, can you do something with your microphone? It looks like you're muted, but we can still hear you. We
Okay.
pick up another microphone, I
This is
think.
our, yeah. But
Okay.
maybe Jody, it's better for me to go over to the original Google Doc and read what Tim put in there. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
do that. I think we'll do that.
So tell me if did it change? Do you see the other Google Doc now?
Yes, we see it.
Okay. So this is from Tim, uh, his contribution, and part of it I put into the other one, but again, the premise as the world faces accelerating challenges from climate change, environmental degradation, and the geopolitical tensions, it's imperative to empower individuals and communities with tools to monitor and safeguard their environment. By enabling citizens to gather, share, and act on open environmental data, we build collective resilience and foster a globally informed public capable of driving constructive solutions. The next part is the introduction challenge point, sustaining engagement and visibility. The visibility and relevance of radiation and air quality data often depend on crises to trigger public and donor attention. However, proactive monitoring is critical to prevent or mitigate future disasters. Maintaining awareness and engagement without an immediate crisis remains a key challenge. Good. He's really good. Diversifying environmental data collection. Beyond radiation and air quality, there is a pressing need to monitor data critical to human and ecological health, such as water quality, soil contamination, and biodiversity metrics. How to grow beyond the existing scope of SafeCast while maintaining accuracy and accessibility requires strategic collaboration and innovative solutions. Technological accessibility and scalability. I'm going to maybe make this bigger. Ensuring devices and platforms are affordable, user-friendly, and scalable while staying current with technological advancements demands sustained funding and resources. Data security and trust in politically sensitive environments, safeguarding collected data and ensuring its integrity while addressing concerns of misuse or surveillance remains crucial. The next part is the mission part. To empower individuals and communities globally by providing open tools and platforms to collect, share, and utilize environmental data, fostering resilience and collaboration in addressing the challenges of climate change and environmental crises. Over to here, proposed solution. Potential solutions for internal discussion, ecosystem of global community deployment toolkits and platform of visualization and analysis. And he lists develop modular user-friendly devices that expand beyond radiation and air quality to include water, soil, and biodiversity. Enhance the platform to aggregate and visualize diverse data sets, allow for integration with other open data sources. 2, decentralized data safeguarding, verification, and sharing. Use blockchain technology to safeguard data authenticity and ensure transparency. By recording data on a decentralized ledger, we can provide verifiable, tamper-proof data sets accessible to all stakeholders. 3, engagement programs. Create education and training programs for schools, local governments, and grassroots organizations to expand user adoption. Develop storytelling campaigns that connect collected data to real-world impacts, emphasizing the relevance of proactive monitoring to daily lives. This is all great stuff. 4, relative positioning climate data ecosystem. Build alliances with international organizations and startups to identify how to utilize the database for greater contribution. Advocate for open data policies in governments to amplify the impact and usability of collected data. Great. Then value statement. We believe for citizens, empower, actually maybe he's not tracking totally with those subject headings, but anyway, empowering individuals with ownership over the data they collect, fostering greater trust and long-term engagement, provide an incentive-driven platform that values contributions, making environmental monitoring a community-supported effort for governments and policymakers. So he's actually, I like that he's putting in these roles, right? For governments and policymakers, offer verified tamper-proof data sets for policy decisions and public communication, increasing confidence in the data, enable a centralized mechanism for tracking environmental compliance and resilience. For researchers and innovators, provide access to decentralized data sets for real-time analysis while reducing concerns over data tampering or manipulation, open up opportunities for collaborative innovation with Web3 and blockchain technologies. For donors and partners, demonstrate cutting-edge approaches to transparency and trust in environmental monitoring, aligning with the growing interest in decentralized solutions. And that's, I think, all that Tim wrote, but it's all really good stuff.
Oh,
And
very good. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think, yeah. So, and I do think though some of the things that Kazu was including, and I'll just go through this, um, you know, issues about what are the fundamental incentives and motivations, how to create an ecosystem where people want to drop by continually, look at other
Yeah,
initiatives.
I think that's a very important one.
These are all very important. I think
Continuation. Yep.
these can be integrated into what Tim wrote, I think. Climate data safe could be a guardian or champion for ordinary people or global citizens suffering from something caused by environmental issues, including climate change, directly or indirectly, by providing reliable environmental data in an easy way. The point that data should be free, reliable, updated, indispensable, universally, and easily accessible with gadgets, instruments, or apps for ordinary people. This is very, very good. The data collecting tool should be affordable, verified, handy, and capable of measuring multiple data related to environmental issues, including. So these are all, I think, really good stuff, Kazu. And I think somehow, if Tim had time, I think he could integrate that into that. Maybe one of us could, or maybe Kazu, you want to do that? Sort of make a combined version of yours and Tim's. And then again, the project could have global perspective, although we need localization. Each nationality we need to recognize or make it clear that, it's not one size fits all. There needs localization, their unique nature and cultural background, and there not be any universal mission statement that fits all global citizens. And types of motivations, we could address motivations as well. Why would people want to participate, and how does this fit in? Something enjoyable or something relieving pain or harm that actually hurts physical and mental health. So I think all of these, does it make sense? I mean, maybe we actually want to foreground Tim's for public, initial, maybe that's actually useful in a pragmatic way. And the value statement, the stuff that I was doing, I really like it, and I think it talks about who we are and what we need to do. We can think about how and what way to share that. But Tim's, I think he thought about it in a very programmatic way,
Yes.
based on his understanding about building community, etc., which I think was very, very useful.
My feeling is if I hear this, that is, let's say Tim in the front, then details from Kasu and from Asu, from Aspi after that.
Yeah, the thinking was there would be, kind of a structure where, I mean, it depends on what. I mean, how is this going to be communicated? We can decide later. And the Miro board looks in one way, and in a website it looks another way, but that there is sort of statement of values and intentions, and then details about implementation is another way to do that. So, but we can figure this out as we go along, I think. Comments?
I'm super impressed with the writing and the thinking. For me, I really reiterate the part about the data governance, because it's such a big part. I feel the part that's missing the most is the verification part. I think for us it's clear that we use AI, and then we have some mechanism for do that, but I think it should be explicited in this document somehow as well, because I think that's going to be
that we need to.
Achilles
But how far does it need to be fleshed out at this point? What will the verification actually be, right?
Yeah, because I think if people want to, provide us that
That's
data.
what Rob was saying, right? Rob was saying about what is the, safe or true, you know?
Yes, yes,
Okay, let's make a note of that.
yeah.
We need to like flesh out a bit about verification.
Because I feel that's going to be the Achilles heel, because people are going to tell us, like, imagine if you're successful and people start to upload a lot of data, and a lot of the people are new suppliers of data, and we cannot automate it. So we're going to have a
Right,
bottleneck there.
right,
We have all this data, but most of it is going to be unverified. And
right.
that's where we want to be.
Well, that's one thing we need to do, and that's also something that Pablo, and he can't join today, but we talked about a lot is certain data sources from government or from even he has like Russian nuclear power plant data and stuff. He says, you know, this is not, we can't verify this, and that's a clear annotation. We can't verify this, but we will include it, you know, because it's useful or whatever. So we need to yeah, make that. But in our case for Safecast, it was in a way fairly simpler for radiation data, you know, in a way after you get a certain experience. So yeah, this is a big question. What would be some verification board committee
Working group.
system, whatever that it's going to be? We need to just to figure that out. But I think at the beginning, we don't need to try to have all those answers.
Yes, and not fix it yet because it should
Yeah.
develop. We should
We
learn
won't
from
have
it
all those
and see.
answers. Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have
So,
answers
but I
yet.
think it's true, you know, what it means to verify. But again, we do want to protect against disinformation. And I was having a conversation online with an old classmate from college who was talking about China's doing this, China's doing that, China's doing this other stuff. And I'm saying, yeah, but none of that is reliable statistics. And then she got kind of upset, like, oh, you just don't want to think China's good at it. No, I know they're good at a lot, but the statistics are really not reliable. And so this is an issue. So for climate data, we would probably end up with a lot of data from China. And who and how is that going to be verified? So these are real questions.
The
Or
National Academy of Science of Beijing.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Guys, can you so I can stop sharing here. And if you wait a minute, I need to step away for a moment. I'll be back in like 60 seconds.
Okay.
60, 69.
I don't hear you.
Jody is counting down. Stop it. Okay, maybe I can share as well. We've done a little bit of work over here as well. Okay, so the idea is, okay, we have all this big information, and I think in my sense is that all the work that you have done in the writing is almost like a constitution, a manifesto, and that's super fantastic because it gives a lot of levels of detail. So now we have technology. What I'm thinking is, okay, can we turn this into a crowdfunding campaign so that we can bring some resources and be clear that this is an open source project that is going to change, etc. But if we had to articulate this to bring more people, I feel that we're in a weird spot right now where it's too open to attract people, but not close enough to attract people. And so now, even if we are going to decide some things that are a bit more specific, then we're going to be attracting coders and we're going to be attracting policy people. But we need to be targeting specific demographics so we can have working groups and have more people, more than us.
What does the crowdfunding campaign means for you, or how would you envision that?
So for me, there's two functions. The first is sort of an extension of what we're doing right here, which is a community building, because we're still mostly Safecast team. And so the first is community building. The second is if we want to attract more funding so we can grow our team and professionalize, then we need to have a proposal. It's a chicken and egg problem, right? If we don't have money, we cannot grow the team. And so my sense is that even though we don't know if we're going to be using torrents, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure that we're going to use hash. This is okay.
No.
But we can already state that this is the direction in which we're going. We're going to test those things as a concept. And then we can write a proposal, we can make a campaign, we can gauge the sense of the interest of the community. And the second thing is we have now a good map of the different source of funding that we could be targeting. We have at least like 10 grants that we could be writing. that we discussed with Eric Berlow last time. So what I feel is that we have enough information with the Constitution or the manifesto that you wrote, with a diagram, if we clean it up a little bit, and if we narrow it down and we target who do we want to have in the next climate hackathon, if we have even a rough prototype. So this is what I would like to share with you. So I think what we need is the next meeting that we have, like what we have today, in the next hackathon, we should get a lot of climate data scientists. So far, we are amongst ourselves. We need people from NASA, EPA, NOAA to come and say, we have data sets that we want to save. Okay. We heard that you guys are doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's what we need. We need we can, if we build, even it's manual, the torrent is using a third-party software and hashing is using, it's okay, it's still okay. It's always clunky at the beginning of the process, you know, like the first Geiger counter that we built. So this is sort of the pitch, I think, that we can turn into a small video that we can put into the crowdfunding campaign. And then we can add in the body of the crowdfunding campaign the text that you have written. And that also can be the same material that we can put for writing grants. Okay, so this is the narrative. We say the current content is that the planet is suffering, data is increasing, but trust is decreasing, and the climate data is disappearing. So that's the state of affairs. The second is that we have climate scientists is our main character. And then we want to show that the climate scientists who are really at the heart of this struggle, they can upload the climate data and make it safe. And then we explain how we do this. We say that they upload the data using torrents. And of course, we don't need to explain them, you know, all the backend. And we also have like a hot database and for them, so they understand it's decentralized. Then we hash and we verify the data. Again, we don't need to go into all this amount of detail. And then we explain that there's also like a financial model that the people producing the data through the IoT can have blockchain micropayments. This is enough for them to conceptually understand our intention. It's not comprehensive. It's a 3 bullet point thing that's going to be like, okay, those people have the right intention and they have, you know, technological capability to implement this and safecast. Maybe this is like, why do we think we can do this? Well, because we are like, why we think we can do this? Well, because we're safecast and we've been doing this for 13 years. And so the flow, we want to show like the interface. Climate scientists will go in the same way that they have the API that safecast. They upload the data, input the metadata, it gets verified, the torrent gets created, it gets hashed. Boom! Now we have this nice website and big database, and this is the thing that we can.
But you mean they upload? It's not that we pull.
They upload, yes, they upload.
Okay.
But I think in the beginning, to be pragmatic, we will be doing a lot of citizen science, just like going to NASA website and just go download ourselves. I think to get to prep the pump, we have to do it a lot of the stuff ourselves. And then we show the interface that it's the download, and people can download or seed, so they can use a torrent client and they can press on the magnet and they can download the file. And then we want to show like what is the future. The next is going to be collaboration like Google Docs, but for climate data science and nice visualization. And then the next step is build a business. So people who are producing IoT device get paid, and we can offer custom services of archive data, stream of data, which can be subscription, like pay subscription if they're in the Bloomberg terminal kind of format, or people can pay us to provide them with projection, whether it's radiation projection or, you know, like, for example, the decay. We know the decay rate in Fukushima. So let's say we make a simulation. We can offer those kind of services. And then we need to have a very clear call to action. We can tell them is join the community. So it's on Slack. We can have like we can expand our current Slack, and they can give us money if they are not citizen science themselves. They can help to verify the data. So we need basically to have a funnel to get people on board. If next session we start to have climate data scientists and we have a nascent skeleton, then we want to give them job. We tell them like, okay, we're going to upload data, you're going to label it, you're going to make sure that we are respecting all the IP as well. If you're a lawyer, make sure that we have the right license and so on. And then the result is that we protect planet and life. And so to wrap up is to close the idea is that the planet is going to be more happy. We're going to increase the trust in the data and improve the governance. And we're going to save, by saving climate data, we're going to increase the trust and hence save the planet. So we sort of like close the loop. Just to join.
Somebody want to go?
Yes, I
what?
just added
Josh.
Yeah.
Josh is showing up. Mhm.
Perfect. Just when we finish.
But guys, I will have to go soon.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
No problem. I can
so
see with
we-
Josh and catch him up. Yeah.
We're on at 8 o'clock JST tomorrow.
Yes, exactly.
Hi, Josh.
Fine.
Yes. Just
Hi.
don't you
Yeah,
missed you missed
Great
most.
work, Josh.
I'll give you a summary.
We were admiring your work
Oh, thanks.
earlier. We'll go back to it, but I have to leave soon.
Okay.
We made
So,
slight changes to it as well.
There were a couple of questions, but it's great basic structure.
Okay.
Cool.
One quick question to Josh. Josh,
Mhm.
you are on Slack? Because I sent some messages,
Yeah.
but maybe you didn't get, or you were
Yeah,
still sleeping. or...
sorry, I didn't have I was out last night, so
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
just
but I
wondering.
can take a look at that stuff this morning. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry I overslept there, but what's
No,
the
that's
most
good.
useful thing for me to do today? I think I have some time.
Okay. You showed us a really
Hold on a second. Can I suggest thing?
Yes.
One thing important is the verification daemon you thought about. How
Yes.
do you envision that? Because that it's a very important part we didn't know about.
Okay. This can just be it's you can even run it locally, but it's very easy to just set a scheduled task on any cloud platform that or any server, just a cron job that scans the table and says, all right, such and such source hasn't been verified in 30 days or 7 days or whatever the timeline is, and we go and pull those down and run them. It's
You mean
pretty.
you mean that it's the data has been changed? That you mean with verification?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
I mean
It's
that's how
momentarily.
but it also it also gets kicked off whenever a new data source is added, right? So we have a baseline.
Okay. Yeah.
It also, I mean, the third thing it can do when data is uploaded is that it can check for you can do a comparison. It says, oh, this key is already in the database. This is actually, even if somebody put in a different description, we know it's actually this data, so we can put it in with that entry.
Okay.
I think this is really fantastic. For each of those boxes, do you have an idea of a particular language or tool that already exists or service that already exists?
There's not much there that's particularly complicated.
But if you look at the chat I had with ChatGPT, it goes into detail about this. I asked it to get in detail about the setup. Don't go to the conclusion, but go to step for step, and you will see. It tells you also how the verification can be done and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think any of these steps is more than. I mean, the analysis bit could be as complicated as you want it to be, but most of the other stuff, 100 lines of Python is probably going to be sufficient.
That's it, right? Something like that. That's what I was thinking too.
Because you showed us this amazing website, and my sense is that it's very similar. We have like a big database that is actually quite clean, but the way it's rendered graphically is like very beautiful and seems very stable as well. Do you have an idea, or, like, do you imagine that the data that we have could be rendered in a way that is?
Oh yes, I mean if you look at the chat, it's with a database you can do this kind of stuff. It's not so complicated.
Yeah,
with the timeline and like actions and backup of information.
It's more the designer.
Yeah, it's they've been working on this for years, right?
Yes, of course, yeah.
So it's obviously, but I mean, it's certainly not. It shows what's possible, even with a small team.
But I'm wondering how much funding they had for that, because that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
to make the interface like that. It's not the data itself, but it's the
And-
interface to think about it.
And honestly, when I look at their data, like it is very much targeted towards power users, which is great, but not everything needs to be, right? Not everybody needs to like, a lay person isn't going to know the difference between various, these various different data sources, right? And shouldn't need to, right? But I mean, having colorful, visually striking graphs is very, very powerful for people.
It's true. So what you're saying is that we also sort of have to decide who we are catering to, right? Are we catering to power users? Are we catering to the general public?
Include those roles, more
Yeah,
than
both.
one kind of person, or total not that well informed layperson
Mhm.
on one hand, and then specialists, very knowledgeable specialists on the other, and then something in between. So, yeah, I think we need to assume we'll have different people coming. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think the key is flexibility and
Yeah.
extensibility, right? Because it's impossible to predict exactly what the data is going to be used for, who's going to be using the data.
Yeah.
So we build a system that's modular and flexible enough that we can figure it out over
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Cool. Yeah.
Well,
So I think Rob and Asby, you both said you want to go to sleep. Josh,
Yes.
I'm happy to stay behind and give you like a summary of the
Kazu,
discussion.
are you okay? Kazu, you're so quiet. You haven't said a single word the whole time.
He must be tired too.
2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is
Okay.
everybody going to join in the next session, the judging or whatever we call it? But
Yeah.
I'm planning to join. Josh, will you be around?
Yeah.
It's gonna be
I
like
mean, that'll be
8 hours
what's
from now.
let me pull up the Miro
Yeah.
so I can actually
So
see.
It's
schedule
pre-
in
Presenting this to other people, other
Mhm.
experts, etc.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's easy time for me.
yeah,
So
exactly. So
Alrighty.
in Mountain Time, that should be between the 2 hours. So it's like either
yeah, it's just 1 hour after Pacific, so it'd be 1600.
1600. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
So tomorrow at 8 o'clock for us, I assume.
Yes, I'm sure you'll be up.
Okay.
Tokyo is 8 o'clock, yes. Tokyo 8 o'clock, and Singapore is 7.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So cool. So I'll brief. I'll just summarize for Josh and
All right.
Yeah. Cool.
all right.
All right, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Great
Have a good night.
progress.
Okay. Good.
And see you tomorrow or later.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So Kazuma, so you're gonna stay with us or you gonna sleep?
Yes. If there's no additional work, maybe I will leave.
I would say the only work that I could see that would be most helpful, because based on this information, I think everybody's input is super important. So the writing effort could be one thing. So like, how do we basically like sort of merge those things? Sometimes it's merging, sometimes it's just adding and creating a different paragraph. Because now we have like this.
On the view board, everybody's section.
But I'm thinking like
Yeah, we're
either.
gonna combine it into like slides.
Yeah, I wonder if this is an effort of using also like some AI to sort of like merge the substance, or is it like a like intellectual work of creating like a header one, header two, and then identifying like what is the big category that we're talking about versus like what is a more like detailed and more operational. Because it seemed that there's quite two different things. There's like some stuff which is more like philosophical and big statements, and some of the stuff is much more operational. It's like how we're gonna do it.
Yeah, I put it out on I've transferred theme statements on the mural as well, and then like the next, so that's where he puts in the solutions and stakeholders, and then Kazu's points on motivations, and then also even with the introduction and challenge, that section of the manifesto, but then also like the aspects that we're looking at, of like, okay, incentives, but then also this free, that's what Tim and Kazu has mentioned on the more technical end. Yeah, and I mean they're answering different
Yeah.
questions, different parts of the question.
I feel as well like the language and the tone that is used, and maybe Kaze, like you would know better than us actually because you work in policy. I feel like the tone and the way that people talk in here, this is quite academic and quite like manifesto-like. If you go, for example, if you work in the government, this is also going to be more like policy kind of writing. If we are talking to climate data scientists, the IPCC kind of writing, it's like very scientific and very deliberate and always like what you were describing, Josh, like when the scientists talk, there's also like a very specific way of writing. Or so I'm wondering like what is the right tone? Because right now I feel it's a bit of a collage of different tones. So I'm wondering like I know it's also quite late for you, Kaz, because it's already midnight in Japan, so I don't want to ask you something that's like too heavy.
I can try to automate it, like as in just throw it into the.
Yeah, if you throw it inside GPT basically and say
like, can you make them the same tones?
exactly making the same tone that is the tone of the audience that we're targeting. So if the audience that we're targeting is climate scientists, then like it needs to be something that they
Would I don't want to create work, but would it be worthwhile to have a short version, which is sort of meant for general consumption, and
Yes.
a more extended version, which is meant for experts?
Yeah,
executive summary.
Hmm
That's what
Exactly.
AI is the best
yeah,
at, right?
let's
Like
do that.
the AI is really good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you having an ability to do this in a collaborative way? For example, like if Kazu wants to
Yeah, I'll throw in like a one version on the doc
on the docs, okay.
and also in a section here, and then I'll send it on the Slack.
So in this case, then it's better to work asynchronously. So maybe
Yeah.
you throw a first version, and in Kazu, if you wake up like an hour earlier or something like this, like because we want to make sure everybody gets some rest as well. What do you prefer, Kazu, to work on it now, or to work on it tomorrow morning after Jody had a go at it?
Mm, I think it seems difficult for me to integrate it for the target, which will be climate scientists. I
Right.
think I'm sorry, really didn't capture overall picture because I first my understanding is that we didn't target it specific
Right.
groups or
True.
at the same in the first stage of this first hackathon, and now I hear that the next hackathon target from the scientists, and then we didn't know that
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
same in the very first stage.
That's true. That is true.
And then as we has already left, and then now we focusing to the climate scientists, I think it's pretty difficult for us to integrate it to for climate scientists or something.
Yeah, I can see that. Cool. Then don't worry. Then we will try. We'll try to like
Yeah,
cook something.
I mean, more importantly, I do think the general public, as long as everyone can understand it,
Yeah, and a summary.
enough. Yeah,
Yeah, like a shorter version, like
that,
Josh
that
was
would
saying.
be helpful.
Yeah.
I had no idea you were in the same room.
Yeah, because actually,
Until this second.
Jody just came back from Japan like 3 days ago,
Okay.
and actually my university just moved to a campus which is like 5 minutes away from her house.
So
And
it's one stop away.
Okay.
yeah. And so her parents are sleeping right now because it's midnight. So
Yeah.
welcome her in my university. Then it's a quiet place.
Okay.
And, like a nice meeting room. But normally we don't work in the same room. This is a
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
That's so good. Okay. So don't worry, Kazu. We'll have a go at it, and we'll try to do whatever we can do. I think using a lot of ChatGPT.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's okay. Just
Minimum
invite ChatGPT for our group.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's fine for a first pass, right? Like if we
Exactly.
can get it,
Yeah.
and then we can refine over time, right?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So okay, so maybe the only thing that we wanted to catch you up with, Josh. So it's
Mhm.
basically this kind of constitution / manifesto text that has been really,
Okay.
really fleshed out and quite beautifully, and you can
Okay.
at your leisure have a look at it. And
Okay.
what we're discussing is that what we want to show and in the presentation is essentially what would be that what we could make. I would like to make it into like a 1-minute video explaining almost like a 1-minute video for a crowdfunding campaign, so that people who
Okay.
are our target audience can look at it and say, oh, okay, I want to join the next hackathon, and I have climate data that I want to save. And even
Okay.
though all the things that we are now going into the direction are going to change. Like now we think
Mhm.
about torrent, we think about hashing, we think all that stuff. That's good and well, but it's possible they will change. Like we like it's just the direction we are going for now.
Mhm.
The narrative is that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't have anything.
Okay. So the narrative is that the current context is that the planet is suffering. We have more data, less than trust, and that even climate data is disappearing. So the target audience that we want to join our next meetings are the climate scientists that have this climate data, and we want them to start to use our embryonic system because so we want them to start uploading climate data. So not just us feeding, but like people who actually have those data. So with Jody, we looked at there's a bunch of Slack communities of people who are climate scientists. The reason why we're thinking about this is because we interviewed a data visualization person, and she pointed us at some Slack community of data visualization nerds, and they are super friendly and super helpful. And so if we have something that is more tangible, that they can start to connect with our community, who are much like the tech nerds, then maybe we can start to really like produce something interesting. And so the model that we're proposing to them is one is data that is scalable with torrents that we can trust with the hash and verify, and that it's sustainable by providing micropayments to the producer or the hosts or the people who verify the data.
Mhm.
And why we think we can do this is because we have been doing this with Safecast for 13 years, and we handle really sensitive data. Or you're working at Google and you like working on like collaboration stuff like the Google Docs. And we will make a wireframe of what it would look like. So we can make like a Figma interface, or what it would look like, or using similar things like what we have with the API Safecast, and show like you have an upload thing and you have like labels of metadata that they can upload, and we create a preview, those things, and then a download page, which is what will happen right after. Then the next step will be to do like collaboration and data visualization. And the fourth explained that we can develop a sustainable model by offering data-related services. So archive data, feed, for example, Bloomberg, Terminal kind of data feed that people can pay subscription for. And people could also pay us for making like, say, simulations of future. For example, like radioactive decay. It's not measurement, but it's based on measurements, and people can pay for those services, for example.
Okay.
And so we want to have a very clear call to action, and people can join us on the Slack. So hopefully we have more climate scientists and more coders like like yourself, and lawyers as well. They can help us to like find an IP and all that stuff. People can give us money on the crowdfunding campaign. Then we invite people to start to build an army, basically build a community on our Notion forum and start to build the websites. And then the result will be that if we are able to protect the climate, protect the data for the climate, then it's going to help us to have more trust in climate data and have better environmental governance, and then hopefully improve the state of the world. So that's sort of like loops address the initial problem that we're trying to address.
Actually, I had some things I'm thinking of. Like one was when we did our hackathon 0, we also had some. I did some Figma screens that we can obviously reuse. But then also I'm thinking the example that you gave Josh about carbon plan. I was looking at it, and they have a very thorough. Oh, not here. Like their whole team, their funding. They have very clear.
Yeah, super
Where was
clean.
it? Oh geez,
I guess, yeah.
okay.
About?
About maybe it was
About, yeah.
yeah, it was about, and then they give you their team, their code, their funding, their
Mhm.
organization, and I feel like they have a good structure that we can learn from. And I'm also curious, like obviously, how we could leverage on these systems that have already been built. I mean, they've made it open source, and they've shared all of these different organizations that they're working with.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I thought this was really impressive that they put all of this out here. And also
Mhm.
honestly that people can donate so easily. It's really
Mhm.
amazing. And this is what their team is like. They've got engineers, their operations, research scientists, a lot of them,
Mhm.
and then product people. Yeah, so it's quite cool to see and understand like if this is an existing product and project that's already been launched out and has been effective, it's a model
Mhm.
that we can learn to replicate. And
Yeah.
obviously eventually looking at the roadmap, throughout 1 year, how could this look like?
Yeah.
That's powerful questions. And I mean, I was exploring honestly these were just from ChatGPT, and I just put it in there to consider of was it like having a community powered platform. And I
Mhm.
just slotted everything they said here. But it's quite in line with what we've been talking about. And yeah, I guess if we are making a video, then it's also saying what do we want to test out
So not just
in our
the product,
prototype.
but also like us as an organization, how
Yeah,
we sort of
yeah,
like
how we
roadmap.
want to expand, yeah. And like what are the specializations that we'll need internally within the team. And also support, sorry, okay. Okay, there's one more point. I mean, and also another thing is, if you want to talk about incentivization,
Mm.
as a space of exploration, and I mean that's something that we'll
Mhm.
test.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to.
I mean, for me, it's here is the
Yeah.
IoT
Oh
income.
yeah.
But instead of making one side, I think this might end up being
Yeah,
like
for
3 or 4
business. Yeah.
because there's will, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what else? What else?
So, is it? Would you like me to start on a slide presentation here?
Yeah, actually, I think that could
Okay.
be good. That could be good.
Okay. Um,
Which would be
yeah,
here.
I can. I'll
Yeah,
leverage as
I'll put
much.
it on G Docs and we'll transfer it afterwards. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean Google Slides, whichever works. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Um,
And then
sounds good.
yeah.
Cool.
What
Yeah.
are you thinking of, Josh? Like, how do you feel?
Pretty good. I mean, I think the trickiest bit is, there's a lot of ambition here, and we have to stay focused and making sure that we're
Priority.
making incremental progress over time,
Yeah.
right? I Yeah, that's the tricky bit, right?
Yeah.
Getting this thing off the ground is going to require, a little bit of focus and a little bit of, a lot of planning. Um, but I think there is enthusiasm out there. There is funding out there. It's just a matter of getting it
Reaching out.
started,
Right. Yeah,
right?
and getting the
Getting the
right
thing off the ground.
circles. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
what I'm trying to do also is really access all of these different communities that are already looking at it,
Hmm.
and seeing, how
Yeah, and I mean the other thing that needs to happen is we need to make sure that we're not overloading
mm,
climate scientists or
mm,
funding sources, whatever. But
yeah,
we're not doing redundant work, right?
yes,
Like
yeah.
so,
And I guess
making sure that
how do
what
we
we're doing is unique enough that it's adding to the community rather than
mm, yeah,
yet another.
that's true.
I
You
agree.
know.
I agree, and it should be simple enough. Like
Yeah.
for example, like when Dropbox started, they basically like just like upload your file, and then you'll be able to access it,
Hmm.
and it's gonna have like a folder. I think for us to be attractive to climate data scientists, it also needs to be simple enough. The value proposition has got to be super simple.
Mm,
We don't
Hmm.
want to be everything to everybody. Like we want to be doing something simple, which is we want to save climate data sets.
yeah.
That's
But
what
we
that's the essence of
we,
it.
Yeah. And
we
also
also just want to make this data, easily discoverable, right?
Mm.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if like that table you had of all those different, all that different data, like it's all out there, but it's
Yeah.
not in one place, right? You have
Yeah.
That's
to,
right.
and Google's not set up to find this sort of thing,
Yeah.
right? So just having a repository that shows you, oh, here is existing, historical temperature and air quality data, right? Here is, and it almost sounds like there's ambition here to sort of make this more generally applicable, not just to climate data or temperature data, but like, oh, here's, all sorts of, like Pavel was saying about like radiation data, right? Or, you can put biodiversity data in there, right? Like all this data that could be used together if it was in one place and people knew where to find it. So anyway, yeah. So I'll
One more point is also like it's always a work in progress, and we're always willing to reiterate. So it's as long as we can put it out there and constantly be testing with the market of immediate users.
yeah. I mean, that's also a huge thing is like adapting to the user's needs as they change over time, right? Like, we may find that this data is not as under or is less under threat than we think, right? And then we'll have to shift to something a little bit different, but we don't know that, until we can get something out there for people to start playing around with, and we can find where the weak spots are. We can find where client scientists need, right? What does the general public need? What do media outlets want to see?
Let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next?
I think
We'll do up the slide.
yeah. Slides here.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah, we can.
That's easy enough.
Us can just set up the slides and we can work on it simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking to do is to build a Notion version of this database that we have, because in Notion we can show the table, and we can also do like a form where people can start to upload. So of course it's not perfect, but because it's got like a really nice graphics interface where we can show like sexy visuals. And then also if we have a verification, for example, let's say it can be, we want to have like at least 3 verifications. It's super easy to set it up. And also we can have filters, like people can filter, they can rank, they can sort, and then we can have a form where people can actually start to upload some of the data. So it's not perfect, but I think we can also have like a column for hash. So I'm happy to build the Notion and make it look good, so that when we make the demo in a couple of hours, then people can we can actually navigate it. We can actually see this data. We can
Okay.
I mean, it's late there, right? So, I mean, is that something you want me to work on, or?
The Notion, I think I can do it fairly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're working. If we start to flesh out some Google Slides, I think it's great.
Okay. I'll work on that today then.
Yeah.
/ overnight
Yeah,
for you guys.
A bit more time. But I just pulled up this because I think this is super inspiring to me. The way that Craigslist has grown is super organic, and it's like it was like a single guy, and you see the executive summary is basically that. We wanted to make something that is simple, humane, non-commercial, common sense, down to earth, honest, real. It's quite beautiful, like in the simplicity of it.
Yeah, Craigslist design is really simple, and they're consistent with that. Yeah.
So this guy started this, and I think it became like a multi-million-dollar thing.
660 million in revenue.
Exactly, that's crazy when you look, right? Like, and the way that it's built, super simple and down to earth.
Yeah.
So that's inspiring to me as well. This really ground up organization.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, sounds good. I guess we'll keep everyone in the loop.